All right. So I'm gonna start going on my end here.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Am I allowed to curse, by the way, Z?
Oh, please do. This is this is a podcast. This isn't national television.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's how I feel, you know?
Though, it is so funny how still taboo. What is it? The George Carlin like seven bad words? It's like, oh my God, they said shit on NBC. It's an
I really
outrage.
I need to rewatch that joke because he's just so like
Yeah.
poignant and just
So
so
so ahead of
spot
his time.
on. So ahead of his time,
All
man.
right, let's just dive the fuck in. Can you please, before we get started, tell the radio audience who you are, where you are right now, and what you're trying to do with your art form?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, hello, audience. My name is Devon Gilfillian. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, originally from outside of Philadelphia, and I'm trying to, with my music, I try to make music that makes people want to understand each other and love each other, and then also shake their ass and forget about the the bullshit going on in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I try to do that through many influences of, I'm a hodgepodge melting pot of of soul and rock and roll and R&B and psychedelic soul and funk and all these different old and new, Jimi Hendrix and Marvin Gaye and Ken, I try influenced by but I listen to Kendrick Lamar and grew up listening to Kanye before Kanye lost his mind
yeah.
and Pharrell and Timbaland and everything they were doing. And so like I just I'm such a I'm a weird melting pot, Z. I really am.
It is complicated because I think you can tell when a press release or a bio is written before Kanye has become not as into the Jews and various things. Because it's
Oh
like,
my
well, he was,
God.
he grew up, really idolizing the songwriting of Kanye West. And I think that's probably not something that is front and center anymore, even though it's like, it's complicated because like his work is the same. It's not like, the dropout
Right.
changed because
He was
he's
always
crazy,
he was always trying to be the best and the biggest and the best and the biggest and like and there's a certain point when you get to that like hey like all right like you're the best at producing and rapping your flow, everyone's in love with it, your story of coming up, and there's a ceiling for that if you're not continuously humbling yourself.
right.
And Kanye lost it, and he lost his mama, and the rock that he had that kept him on the ground is now gone, and now he just surrounded himself with yes people, which and you can't do that, you know.
Well, the title of your new record, which as this comes out, let's just say it's in the world right now.
Yeah.
Love
Yes.
you anyway. I think
Yeah.
there's a nice little double-edged sword in that title right there, right? The
Yeah.
sort of turn the other cheek, um, the feeling that someone, something, maybe an entire group of people has been wronged, but we have to move past that and still bring love and bring uh, energy that isn't just revenge. It's like love you anyway is it feels like this almost like it's very of our time. I think that phrase, I feel like Lizzo has that vibe in a lot of her songs. Like, I'm just going to be me. You've judged me for a long time, but I'm going to love you anyway.
Absolutely.
Where does that
Absolutely.
title come from for you?
it comes from a lot of it really truly does come from a lot of what you touched on in the sense of, in the during the pandemic especially. And I wrote this song during the pandemic and a lot of this album, and um everything was happening. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all of the injustice, racial injustice that has been going on has been just, it was, the blanket was pulled off, and it was like, oh, we have to stare at this, we have to see this, and we're in it. And just the election denial, the insurrection, the lies, outward, like crazy lies, conspiracy theories, and polarization, essentially, of this country that turn people against their family. And really, I watched it everywhere, just to put, and in my family too, and friends, and at a certain point, it's like we gotta figure out when we're getting got, and like be like, yo, we gotta stop watching Fox and CNN, like, only. We gotta like broaden our view, so that we understand what's happening in the world, and understand what's happening with different news sources, and also understand what legitimate journalism looks like, and critically asking that question. But that's another side of this thing. But all that said, is people are we are we can't help but be put into our echo chambers, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to realize that, and realize that people are in their echo chambers, and the only way to break through that is by trying to stop yelling and making so much noise in your own echo chamber, and try and listening to the other side. And when people feel like they're listened to, they try and understand you. And Love You Anyway is like kind of just the first step in that for me. And in trying to say, all right, I know you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
But also, I could be wrong too, in certain ways. And also, perspective is, people live everyone's lives are different, and everyone is living came from a different place and environment, and trying to make them understand someone's life 100 miles away, or even down the street, that's down and above, they don't interact with them. It's hard. It's hard. It's
I mean,
hard when
that song "Righteous" that you have Nathaniel Rateliff on, right? It's like, how do we find somewhere in the middle, right?
yeah,
A common ground that we can say, look, we're all Americans. Does that mean anything, really? I mean, this country is so diverse. People in, you know, Alabama and Mississippi have a very different view of things than me in LA, you in Nashville, right? We feel like it could be a different country, but we have to find somewhere to meet and to talk about things. Tell me about that song a little bit.
absolutely. We have to find somewhere to meet, and righteous is you know it's a poke at religious structure that separates people, and puts people into groups, and makes one group of people better because they're reading the good book, and another group, the people who aren't enlightened, are lesser. And to me, there's this whole, that philosophy has evolved into politics, into the United States, and it's evolved into we are better than them mindset, a righteous mindset, this, like, just you know superiority complex. and that to me is the poison that has has always kind of been ingrained in a lot of the ways the systems in this country and whatnot. So
Well, I like the balance between you can be righteous or you can be real. You can't be both, you know.
yeah,
Because I think that the thing that it feels like we get from the left and the right is that like you're an idiot if you're not with me, you know? And it feels hard, I will admit, to not have that attitude, right?
it is. It
But it's
is.
like what is the way to actually confront your neighbor who is believing something that is at least factually wrong, that is harming people. I mean, the whole election denial, but the vaccine, misinformation, that is something that really killed millions of people, and we're
Yeah.
only going to realize the fallout of that in generations to come. And the fact that people knew that, like Fox News, like Trump, and admitted it on tape or in text messages like they're seeing in this lawsuit, and
Yeah.
then say, well, but the ratings say if we say the opposite, if we say the untruth, people will keep watching out of outrage. It's the profit before fact thing that is so infuriating over and over again. Like how much is that stock price of Fox News worth to you? Is it really worth to sacrifice an entire generation of people who believe you? Really?
It's not, and and I really, Z, I pray that they get held accountable. I pray that they get slapped hard, and also that these fake ass journalists, Alex Jones motherfuckers, get slowly get penalized. And I mean, people have to diversify their news intake, and that's the only way to really know. But also knowing that journal what like I said, what legitimate journalism is, and knowing where the dollars are more important than the actual story. Like, yo, come on, like we have to. That's the issue to me, is like people don't know. They're just habitually taking in bullshit that is not accurate, and not actual journalism, and they're turning it, their entertainment, into journalism.
Right. When you
And
take a song like Let the Water Flow, also about, voter suppression and people in Georgia, black folks in Georgia experiencing disenfranchisement for generations, right? Um, I will say that a lot of folks that are in, the general Americana world, which I think you are a part of,
yeah,
do not have the balls to really dive into a lot of this stuff. I mean, I've sort of been trying to trumpet that for a while, that like the largely white Americana songwriting community needs to like actually step up and start saying some stuff and not be, I think, veering
tiptoeing.
too close to the country. It's like there's always this like, well, we don't want to alienate the folks that are coming in from the country music community or people that maybe don't agree with us politically. So just don't say anything about anything. Just write about love and sex and rock and roll, which is fun too. Um, but I think
No,
someone like, you grew up listening like Marvin Gaye could make you shake your ass and make you think about shit. That's something that the 60s and 70s, I think, created. And I think that folks like you are bringing back now, which I'm super happy about.
I mean, man, I have, to me, Marvin was doing. I hope and pray that I could do what Marvin and the Staple Singers did when they were doing it. And like the reason why is because there's that pressure, man. That there was black people were getting fucking squeezed and jailed and beaten and had no rights, and it's not, and people don't, right now we're comfortable, people are comfortable, a lot, like there's this fake idea that we everybody's all the equity is there,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not getting shit just slipped, just kind of slidden from underneath of us.
Right.
And we, if we're really not, if we're not paying attention, like the real shit is is our voting rights. The real shit is getting fucking healthcare and getting our education like prioritized in this country, and like and and the you know the history of the country and the people that have gotten been left at the bottom the whole time have no way of getting up, like, and that shit's not going to change. That's the issue that we're now working on, is like how do we make this shit fair for everybody. We're not trying to have Cuba or make it Cuba or anything. We're just trying to, people are so scared of
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's, God, I'm going off on I feel like I'm going off over
That's what
here,
we're here for, man.
you know?
But I feel like Let the Water Flow is a song that, like, again, feels like, yeah, it could have been a staple singer song when they're talking about, going to Washington and actually speaking to power. Do you feel helpless at times that music is not enough, or do you feel like this is your way to contribute?
I I there is moments that I do feel like, what am I doing, like playing, strumming on a guitar and singing, and instead of being out and whatever, coordinating protests or something, like, I but also I know that music is my superpower, and that's what I got to use, and that's why, to me, Marvin and the Staple Singers and Curtis Mayfield, like all those cats, like that were doing it, and Kendrick Lamar now, like, to me, like, there's a fearlessness that I the Americana world, I don't know, man. You listen, like you kind of said it, like there's only a few folks like TJ Osborne, the Osborne brother, brothers
Mm,
Osborne, like they're ripping up the door, ripping down doors in the country world, and I'm so proud of them. And there's some artists that are trying to do, bring diversity into the Americana and country world, but there are definitely, like, nobody's saying what Kendrick is saying or J.
right.
Cole is saying. Like, like hip hop to me is like, take those lyrics and like, that's the realest shit you're ever gonna see. If you hear that in the song, it's like, what? They're just, that's okay. It it, yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny.
What did it feel like, inhabiting a song like What's Going On? Because, you had that um record that you basically you re-recorded his seminal record, Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
in 2020. Um, did you feel like almost the pressure to kind of match his energy, or did you try to just take it in your own direction?
I knew that I was not gonna, like, I was definitely trying to, like, at least match the energy, but I wasn't trying to, like, I wasn't gonna be singing like Marvin, and my voice, nobody can sing like Marvin, nobody
Right.
can play like Jimi Hendrix, nobody can, like, I gotta just do what I do, and that's why I wanted to incorporate all the different artists on that album and make it a thing that's not I didn't want it to be about me trying to be Marvin or trying to recreate Marvin. I wanted it to be about bringing the message that Marvin was saying then to now, and have different voices sing it and bring it, and and yeah, like, it to me, there's definitely, there's no touching that album, like, in its and how good it is. But like, the first time I like that, I have a funny relationship with that song, What's Going On, because in 2019, Marvin Shaka Khan and Michael McDonald, we were on tour opening for them, and Michael asked me to come up and sing "Taking It to the Streets" for the encore, and Shaka comes up for the encore. They sing "What's Going On," and then they do "Taking It to the Streets," and then Shaka or Michael asked me to come up for "What's Going On," and I didn't know. I knew I had like I like peripherally knew the song,
Yeah.
but not like back of my hand. Like I knew it
Yeah.
like the back of my thumb, and I got up, I was like, oh, singing backgrounds. And then Shaka, third verse came around. She was like, "Ching," and threw me the mic, and I just fumbled around on that, like just
Let
saying
me get
like
my phone out real quick for some lyrics.
father, mother, like singing whatever. And like we walked off stage and Shaka looked back to me and she was like, "You better learn that song." And like I was like, "Ah!" but but then we went out to a protest right after George Floyd was killed, and I saw people playing instruments. I was like, man, I want to bring my guitar out. And I went home, and then I like sat down and like actually learned what's going on. And and then I broke down crying. And I was like, what? How are these words already said?
Yeah.
How are these words already said? It was
It's like when the, what is it, that concept, the
50.
space-time continuum, like if you bend the space fabric, you're like right back where you were, or you're 40 years ahead. It's
It
like
was
we're all kind
insane.
of connected in this continuum. We just don't know it sometimes.
It was I mean, if anything, if like exactly that, Z, but like if anything, Marv, that whole record, that whole album really is a social experiment. It's a documentation of what was happening in the world in 1971, and also the cycle of
Mm.
of protest of how people are squeezed, and then protests breaks out and war breaks out, and no one's giving a shit about the earth, and and people are still getting squeezed, and how change has to come, please. Like I wasn't trying to rhyme that
Yeah.
like
The
like
show actually has to
Reverend
be
Sharp.
in rhyme because, then, everyone can understand it. I think that it's funny. I'm looking at this poster on my wall of the Summer of Soul with
Oh
Sly and the
God.
Family Stone. And my TV here in LA has some of those like crappy free cable channels, and one of them is like some vintage TV stuff that has the Ed Sullivan Show playing on loop all the time, like from the 60s and
Yes.
70s. And like Sly and the Family Stone were like on this show, and they're in this, like, it looks like just like a basic theater somewhere, and all these white people going like, and those guys are just ripping into these songs, like dressed up like they're from outer space,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
high heel platform boots and uh, the glasses and the hair. But again, I think someone like Sly Stone created a sound that was accessible to a pop audience, which I think yours is too, but also
Yeah.
is telling you something in your back, in the
Yep.
back of your head, like telling something from the side, saying, hey, we got to live together.
Man,
you know
it's that subliminal messaging.
Come on.
It's that, and like
Different
that's
strokes
the
for different
key.
folks. Come on, guys. And we sang that as kids, like it was a kid's song, you know?
Right? Right? It's crazy. Like, I mean, that to me is the key, is like putting making this music, the music got tastes so good that you just swallow the lyrics. It's It's like a
If
dog with a
you
peanut butter pill and stuff.
if you were booked like on that Summer of Soul festival, I don't know if you saw that movie, but like,
Oh
that
yeah.
lineup,
Oh, I
if
did.
you were booked like next to the Staple Singers and
Oh,
Sly and the Family Stone, what would you open with? Like which song yours?
oh my God.
No pressure.
That, you know, I would probably, it would have to be between Let the Water Flow. Like to me, that if I'm in between Sly and the Staple Singers, like I'm just thinking about that scene with Mavis singing with Mahalia Jackson. Like, oh my God, how do you
Yeah, I
even?
started crying when I watched that part. I was like,
Oh
oh God.
goodness, Lord,
She's like, what, 16 or something?
yeah, like how do you do that, Mavis? What? I,
And she's
but I
still
would.
doing it.
She's still doing it, man. I gotten to open for her a couple times, not to get off topic, and she's still giving it, and she calls me Muscles every now and then. She doesn't remember my name, but she calls me Muscles, and that makes me feel good inside, and I can die a happy man because Mavis called me Muscles. But anyway, song wise, maybe it's so hard off of the new album.
No, anything from your
Anything, anything.
retrospective.
Maybe the Good Life. You
All right.
know, maybe the Good Life. I think like if I'm like, to me that feels like Summer of Soul vibes. You know.
Yeah, I think there's something about again creating something. I'm trying to remember the. Oh yeah, I was able to talk to Betty Lavette. You know her?
No,
She's
no.
a long time kind of soul R&B singer. She grew up like down the street from Stevie Wonder in Detroit. Like she's like
Oh
probably in her
man.
70s. She has been around and won some Grammys I think for blues and stuff like that. Um, and she was saying how like growing up, you know, yes, you wanted to confront the hard truths of the day, Vietnam War at that time, um, social inequality. But she's like, we also kind of wanted to forget everything and go dancing. James
Yeah,
Brown and Shaka Khan. It's like we didn't want to dwell in the darkness
yeah,
forever. We wanted to be in the light, and that's
yeah,
always the challenge here. Um, and yeah, I think the good life. It's like you want to get some friends together and open up a cocktail and
yeah.
put that on.
Exactly. It's there's a it's about loving everybody from for wherever they come from, and loving the different people, and but also just makes you feel good, and that's definitely the key, is like having songs that just make you feel fucking good and forget about the sh- the the shit going on, and then songs that's like, yo, it makes you feel good, and it's like, hey, we gotta fight the power, yo. you know
The song Brown Sugar Queen, a was there a lady in mind when you were writing it, or was it like the ideal fantasy of this queen that could one day be yours?
there is actually a specific lady, and it's my girlfriend right now, actually, my partner girlfriend, uh my main John. No. No, her name's Megan, and yeah, we've been together for a minute, actually. You might have met her back in the day. When were you at the wedding, at Zach's wedding, Zach Smith?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, back in the day,
in Santa Cruz.
in Santa Cruz. Me and Megan were together, and we'd split up and got back together, and split up, grew up, and then got back together, and yeah, that song's just it's about how I couldn't get away from her, basically.
Did that song help win her back?
A little bit, a little bit. I was like, I was like, I got this, I got this song I wrote about you. That's like deposit like $2 into the brownie points.
When you write a song like that and you play it for someone like her, who's probably heard you sing all sorts of love songs, right?
Oh yeah.
Is she immediately charmed, or is she like, I've heard something like this before, bro?
I would say that it's definitely not an immediate charm.
Yeah.
It's like more of like her just silently grooving and just, all right, okay, I like that. I like that.
Though the video, I remember seeing the video come out, and it's pretty sexy. Maybe
It
not for the
is.
kids at home,
No, no, definitely
or maybe
it's
it is. I don't know.
PG
Um,
13. We don't have any R super R things. It's TV mature. Maybe is that what they do with the music videos?
yeah, it reminds me of there's this movie called Perfume. I think it's called Perfume Story of a Murder or something. It's like it's based on his true story of this guy who um, was a serial killer. I'm not saying that you are. Go with me on this journey for a second. He would
Who knows,
distill
Steve?
the
Who knows?
perfume of the ladies that he would kill. Like he would distill their essence
Oh
in
man.
like Belgium or whatever. He was completely nuts. But there's this scene in the movie that is maybe one of the most memorable scenes I've ever seen in a film. And I went to film school. I've seen a lot of films where they shot this orgy scene in like a beautiful square in France or something with like the entire town being so enraptured by the smell of this perfume that they all make love together in this town square, and it is so beautiful and so crazy.
Wow.
And I'm
Wait.
watching your video, I'm like, oh wait, this reminds me of this really cool okay, it's not about a serial killer, but the sensualness of people
Oh
embracing their
man.
bodies in an open way on camera.
If only I had like a orgy in a town square in my music video, then
When the
that would
budget goes up at the label,
the budget does go up a little bit. It's kind of hard to convince 300 people to start banging.
How did you shoot that video? Like, what was the process?
We got these this awesome production crew that I've worked with called Happy oh my gosh. I'm blanking. Something Holiday. Um they were incredible. They came Frank and Chad and shot this video in this studio in Nashville. And Megan actually, she's the main one, kind of in dancing in the video, and
One would hope.
you know, and they working holiday. That's the name of the production crew. They're awesome, and they they found these amazing dancers. The Jessica, she blanket. I'm so bad with names, but she was an incredible dancer and choreographer, and worked with some of the models that were there, and Megan, and just like kind of threw together this vision really quickly, honestly, and turned it around in like kind of like a 2 week span. We from like thinking like, oh, let's do this kind of like fun, sexy video, and all right, let's go. Like get some fruit and paint it and make it look fun. Make Megan dance. It'll be, we just wanted something celebrating Megan and celebrating Black women, and having a song about that. And I feel like I'm I'm done being, tiptoeing around celebrating one person and
Mm.
leaving leaving people out, and like, who cares, you know?
See, now I feel bad because I had a situation with my now wife when we first got together. I wrote this love song. It's our most played song, our Dust Bowl revival group.
Yes.
It's very, very direct. The song is just called Honey, I Love You. Okay. We did it with Keb Mo.
I was gonna. Okay. Yes. Yep. I've heard that. Yeah.
Just a very sort of sweet, soulful kind of thing. And when we did the music video, my wife, who's also an actor, was like, "Oh, well, you're gonna like just cast me in the video, right?" And we did not cast her in the video, which was not a very pleasant conversation to have. But I felt like it was like, you know, not fair. Like it's, we are a band. It's not just my project. I felt
Yeah.
like, well, if I make it all about her and like and then it's like kind of gonna be awkward. And now I'm like, you know what, dude, you should have just done it. Would have been sweet. I mean, look, Devon did
Devin did it.
it.
Devin, you make me look bad, man.
She's gonna be like, see,
You're gonna have to make it up to her. You're gonna
yeah,
have to have her star in the music video eventually. You know.
she did kind of star in this video I did about my daughter and her last year. But
Oh, that's
it's always like a tricky thing is you want to make stuff personal, but like
you want to separate it a little bit.
yeah, like
You want your personal life to be also for you.
I also didn't want to have to like direct my own wife and be like, hey, can you maybe like show a little more leg in this shot?
Yeah.
Like I felt like that would have been a bit of an awkward situation.
A little more leg, babe. A little more. Come on, shake it.
Like we shot a pool scene.
Oh man, no,
How has it been getting back on tour? Obviously all of us touring musicians have to balance being away and but we had a period there where we were forced to be at home. Has there
yeah.
been a transition to going back on the road for you?
At this point, it feels good. It feels almost back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've gotten all my shots, and I'm not scared of COVID. No, nobody's really that scared of COVID right now, and kind of just like, all right, like mask up when you got to mask up and do the thing. Like,
Right.
let's rock and roll. And so it feels like it's gotten back to normal. I definitely am my social energy. I def is has like my tank has definitely shrunk
Mm-hmm.
for sure. So I'm like trying to like work that stamina back up, because I feel like our job is kind of to be out and about, and but also balancing that like I feel like during the pandemic I've luckily been able to create a routine and kind of grounding routine for myself that makes me able to get out on the road now and feel like not hella drained.
Right. Now, when you're out there doing your thing, you have a song like All I Really Want to Do that is, again, in the sexy realm, right? Aries, Pisces, Scorpio, Leo, Libra, Gemini, which is yours? You let me know. It's a very flirtatious song. Now, when you're on stage singing this, obviously it can feel goofy when you're putting on a persona, but do you feel like you're sort of creating a version of yourself on stage that is a little bit different than who you really are, or is it just like a hyper realized version of yourself?
No, I definitely feel like you have to put on like a little like a hyper definitely a hyper version of myself, but like a exaggerated version in a way, a sexier version and more theatrical. Like I I'm definitely not I was never a theater kid or anything like that. I wish I was. My theater teacher just wasn't cool, so didn't 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 get into it. But like, I do like, there's the performance. Like, you got to get into it. You got to get into the character a little bit, and there's a little bit of that for sure. But it's all, the songs are reflections of me, and also reflections of me off of the world, and the shit that's happening in the world too. And I think, there's always going to be, not fully, it's going to be myself that's in that character, but a little bit more, you know if that makes any sense.
Growing up in Philly, I know you've written that you didn't necessarily feel like you fit in any sort of one clique. Did you start writing music pretty early? Did you find that as your superpower, or did that come later on?
Writing music was for sure something that came when I moved to Nashville in
Mm-hmm.
2020, or in 2013. I didn't like, I wrote some, and I wrote like some instrumental stuff on guitar, and had some kind of like remnants of songs that I started and didn't finish, like before I moved to Nashville, like when I was in college, and just playing acoustic sets out and covering playing covers and stuff. And but I didn't find my voice as a writer really until I moved to Nashville, and like started going to writer rounds, and seeing like what people were doing, and writing with, actually, Zach Smith was like one of the first guys I wrote most of my songs on my first EP with. And yeah, I really, was like 2015 that I was like, all right, like I'm I'm a songwriter. Like, I'm doing it. I'm in it.
What was the first record that you remember being moved by as a kid, or sort of saying like this is important? Something your folks gave you or were playing at home?
I would say probably Bob Marley, "Waiting in Vain."
Mm,
Like that, yeah. And like, my dad was always playing Stevie Wonder, like in the house.
mm.
Intervisions and Songs in the Key of Life was always playing. Like, he was Stevie Wonder was like his North Star. And so that was always rocking. But Bob Marley, yeah, that album, "Waiting in Vain," I remember like getting like the Legends CD and putting it in my Walkman, and like putting in my headphones, and thinking about this girl I had a crush on in fourth grade, and just weeping one single tear.
No, I
No,
read this. I read this study, completely apropos of nothing, that is fascinating. That our tears when we're sad are actually filled with more protein, so they roll down our face slower, so people can see how upset we are and then comfort and help us and save us from dying.
wow. Look, humans are crazy, man.
Sonny agrees, apparently.
Sonny
Okay,
said,
thank
"Tears."
you. Thank you.
You say tears?
But the let's go back again to Philadelphia. Tell me what uh you know your teenage life was like. Like what was your vibe? Like what was your scene in high school?
Yeah, as a teenager, I would say 14. I was hanging out with like some of the kids that love to, like, my buddy Steve. He loved videotaping all of us and the friends, like doing dumb things, jumping off of things, acting like, love the Jackass videos, and making every time we got an opportunity to make a video for school project, like we made a video even when we weren't allowed to make a video for it. It was like, so I was just friends with like all the kids that love to crack jokes and then sneak 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 away and get some beer and smoke a little pot, and then I befriended my homie Mr. Steve Sugden, and he was a guitar player, went to, and he had a bunch of friends at another high school and who were a bunch of music nerds. So then I started hanging with them, and that was like that became my main crew, and they were all listening to like Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and all this like classic rock and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then, but before that, I mostly kicked it with my homies James and Kyle and Morton in the neighborhood. And that was like, I had like my black friends, and then I had my white friends that I would hang out with, and like I'd listen to, we were listening to like Kanye and Pharrell, like I said, and and Clips and all this whatever with James and Kyle, and then when I picked up guitar at 14. That was when I really dived into Jimi Hendrix and all the classic rock, and then started listening to like a lot of the Stax and Motown, and diving deeper into that stuff. And college is really where I was like, all right, I gotta I got my chops, and playing 3-4 hour acoustic sets by myself, and in different bars and stuff. But
Where'd you go to college?
Westchester University in
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, and studied psychology.
Hmm. As every songwriter should.
you know?
Well, I finally actually listened to some of your debut EP from
Oh yeah, man.
2016. Throw it back.
Throwback. That's a throwback right there.
Here and Now. Here and Now is a hot song, man. I love that song.
I thank you, Z. I appreciate that, and it's so funny like how my sound has evolved since then, and I I love that EP, and the it's like very blues, a lot, very much more blues and like old school R&B, Al Green vibes, and Staple Singer vibes, and that like is a part of me, but also, you know, then I want to throw some Thundercat in there, some, what I mean. I
Mm,
want to get weird. I want to push it forward, and that to me is like, my dream is to take the Americana audience, that I started off with that album, with that
hmm.
EP, and make them realize that they love me, they love the blues, they love R&B from back in the day.
Right.
But what Kendrick is doing right now is the fucking blues
Mm,
that's happening right now. That shit's more real than anything.
hmm.
And 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 if you want to romanticize, the blues from back in the day, then you need to listen to what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And like, how do you bridge those audiences from hip hop to Americana? How do you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Festivals, maybe, some, billings, whatever. Just making it, but it's also.
Well, I do wish that like American festivals would be at times more like Canadian festivals. I don't know if you've ever played up there. The diversity is almost hilarious at times where they'll put like an Inuit throat singer from the Arctic next
Yeah.
to some like string band from Nashville, and then next to a soul band from Memphis, and then uh like a drumming troupe from Morocco, and then after that like a
Yeah,
jazz
yeah.
combo, like, and they all get sort of equal billing at prime time. There's
Yeah.
no real like, okay, you guys can play at 12 o'clock, and then the heavies play at 7 o'clock. Like, no, no, like they're gonna have the Inuit throat singer go on at like 8 p.m. in front of 20,000 people, and it's gonna be awesome.
I'd love it. I love it. I dig it. Canada, they know how to, set the playing field.
Is there a bill at a show or a festival that was really weird that you were on once? I remember in college in Michigan, we used to some for some reason we would open for this heavy metal band. They would put our like blues rock band and this scream metal band together because like, well, uh, this is what we can do tonight. And they kept putting us together at all these shows around Detroit and Ann Arbor. I was like, okay, I guess.
So do you think their fans are gonna like us? Like, all right, like, all right.
Like
No,
what was the weirdest combo playing before or after you?
you know, I we were in Sweden and we opened up at this random town for this like reggae band, this like Swedish white reggae band.
Oh boy.
And I was like, oh shit, what we get into? And they were popping. They
Yeah.
did it. Like they were like, and they were. I was like, oh man, what are they gonna do? And they were giving me some roots, fucking toots and the Maytals shit. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, y'all, all right. And it. So I was like, at first I was like, this is gonna be weird, and so not it. But yeah, yeah. And there's other
If you
folks.
if you
There's
truly
definitely.
believe, if you truly believe in the music, it can be yours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's other weird tours that we were on, but I won't drop any names.
Your debut full length was a Black Hole Rainbow, which I think definitely set you in the path to being known at least on a national scale. And you're mixing a lot of different genres together there, which is cool. But you start off with that Unchained track, which is really emotional. Tell me a little bit about your brother Ryan and how that song came to be.
Absolutely. So my brother, he's a year younger than me, and he's definitely he's he's like the gangster version of myself. I'm like the soft golden child, and he was like the one who didn't give a fuck, and
Yeah.
wasn't he's not scared to tell you what's on his mind. And um but this song Unchained, like, it's funny, I wrote this song. At first it was just a movie prompt. It was like me and Andrew Petroff and my buddy Tim Bruns were writing it for this movie, and it was about this guy who this black guy got arrested and accused of rape, but he didn't do it and all this stuff, blah blah blah. And I wrote this song, and after I wrote it, it's weird. Like sometimes I write songs that, and like in the moment they happen so fast that I'm writing it for something else, and then I realize it's actually about my brother. It's
Mm.
about it's and all the obstacles that he's been put in front of, and he was in an accident back in 2008 that left him paralyzed from the waist down. And it's I can't imagine going through just not only the physical pain but the
Mm.
mental pain of that, and all of it. But he like he worked through it, and got he's making music now and doing his thing. And so yeah, that song became an anthem for him, and kind of about how proud I am of him, and what he's gone through.
Yeah, it's always I think another balance of how much to reveal about certain tragedies or hardships that we go through. And it's like, is this your story to tell? Is this his story to tell? And I think that it's more like where our heart is in the situation, and what was his feeling when that song came out? Like, what did he say?
He, you know, he was definitely like grateful and you know he didn't. I feel like he almost didn't believe me at first, and then I was like, actually, like, I would love for you to star in the music video and everything, and then he was really grateful for it. He was just like, he's to me, it showed, I don't know, me and my brother have always been so opposite, and we've fought our whole lives and been so I feel like it was a moment of showing him how much I really do love him and care
Mm.
about him.
And your dad sings backup vocals on a new track, right?
He actually sang backgrounds on uh on my brain is blanking on Black Hole Rainbow.
Oh yeah, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. um on why why is my brain Stranger.
Mm.
Yeah.
My dad can sing, just can he blend is the question. He's like a voiceover announcer, like a professional voice actor, and he's got this booming, commanding, at times way too loud voice, you know? Like we always joke, like when we sang Christmas carols, he'd have to stand like 50 feet back so he didn't like overpower the entire choir.
That's amazing. So okay, I see where the talk the charisma comes from.
We're like, yeah, dad, if you could just go in the other room and lay this down. He plays blues harmonica sometimes with us. Yeah.
He plays harmonica too.
Yeah. When we go through Chicago, he'll come up on stage and play a bit with us. I
Yeah.
keep trying to say he should be in his own blues band, but he like, he's not a joiner, I think I set up a fake Craigslist ad years ago being like, hey, I want to start this band. I like was him like in the Craigslist band. And people reached out to him and he's like, yeah, I don't know those people. I can't, I'm not going to do that. I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point is you like meet them and then you
You see
get
what's up, see if
together.
there's chemistry.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's amazing. I hope my parents just moved to Nash or not Nashville, but Lebanon, so not too far from Nashville, and I gotta set my dad up on some musical play dates because he's 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 craving some musical community, and we'll make it happen. We'll make it
What
happen.
what does he do, or is he retired?
He retired. He was in a wedding band up in Pennsylvania, but also just working for the township and painting the roads and taking trash, dumping the trash out, and just working hard, and yeah. Now he's retired. Now he's like chilling
It's
on the
earned it.
farm with moms, and they got two horses and just little living the farm life out in Lebanon.
Was there a moment where you played on some insane festival bill or the Ryman or something where your folks were like, I can't believe I have a rock star that I created? Like, what was the rock star moment of moments for you?
I feel like the rock star moment, one of them was we got to open for the Fray in 2017
Okay.
at Red Rocks, and flew my mom out, and my brother and my mom came out, and I feel like that was like a moment where she was like, All right, he's doing this damn thing.
The Fray, they're a legit band.
I've heard of them. It's funny how like is certain, you could be opening for Bad Bunny and like your parents would be like, Bad what's a Bad Bunny? Why are you opening up for a Bad Bunny?
Is this a petting zoo show?
Yeah, yeah. It's you gotta they have to know and be familiar with it to like, oh, okay, I see. Yeah, he's doing it.
Was there a show maybe early on where you really questioned whether or not this would be a legit path for you? Like it was so bad that you're like, I really should just maybe get my master's degree in psychology and have my own practice.
you know, I mean, there's definitely been shows that like Oxford, Mississippi, like where like we were playing to like two people and the staff in
At
the
Proud Larry's, I think I played that same show with you.
crowd.
About
Yeah,
10 people. It was pouring rain. No one showed up.
straight
Yeah, I remember that.
straight up Proud Larry's. But then like, you know, I those shows don't bother me as much because I feel like I did enough of those shows in college where I was just playing to either nobody or playing to people who were not listening and drinking and yelling stupid covers at me, and like, and there was enough happening between those shitty shows of good things there that I like held on to very firmly. I was like, all right, just all right, there's two people here tonight. This is gonna be what it is. But like tomorrow's gonna be a good show. Like tomorrow we're gonna be opening up for this person and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in many ways, obviously, especially touring small clubs, it's not for the faint of heart. It's a young man's game. I think it's smart to
Mhm.
get that out of your system for a while,
Yeah,
because also you're young, you're excited, you're like, the fact that we even have a show tonight in Mississippi is very exciting.
100%.
And that excitement and gratitude, I do miss that about myself at times, you know, because it's like last week or was it a couple of weeks ago, we went to Colorado, right? We added a show in Colorado Springs on a Wednesday. Did we need to do that? Probably not, but it felt like it rounded out the little run. It happened to be 5 below 0 and basically a blizzard. We didn't cancel the show, you know, and 30 people somehow still made it out.
Wow.
And it felt like I'm grateful that these folks bothered to be here. Um, but you wondered is why do I have to be in this
Yeah.
situation? Like, is there something wrong with me?
Dude, Z, it's hard. It's just hard out here on the like, oof.
And then Friday night,
No.
it's
The answer is
it's six.
no.
Friday night, it's 50 degrees in Denver, and there's 350 people going crazy and having a great time. But the Wednesday night, like, how do you get the Wednesday night
That is
when it's
I ain't
snowing
there.
and it's
I'll
cold?
tell you that. Like I sing a song with Ariana Grande. I don't even know.
Do
Like
you give yourself a pep talk sometimes before you go on stage? Like, what is your pre-stage ritual?
my pre-stage ritual usually is like pee 3 times for no reason,
Okay,
chug all the water, and then pee again.
okay. Hydration, extreme
And
hydration.
stream hydration. I don't know what, like my body's like, you gotta pee now. And it's like, ah,
Yeah,
and pretty much just like kind of like hold on to a moment of gratitude right before we get on stage. Just
that's
like
smart.
look at each other and be like, we get to get on stage. and play music tonight for a living. Like let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. And that's it. You know? I mean, I do like we talk through the set 30 minutes beforehand and do all that stuff. But like to me that moment is pretty essential, you know, not to not to get jaded and be like, why are we doing oh wait, we're doing this because we want to be 14-year-old kids that play music for a living. And
Yeah.
let's get back to that.
Yeah. It does feel like it's hard to really ever grow up when you're performing, and especially when it's going well, because you're like, look, people are clapping and singing my words. It's a very selfish pleasure.
Yeah.
Um, if you were to create a festival, though, anywhere in the world, it can be anywhere on Earth. You could book 5 artists, dead or alive, for
Whoa.
the special fantasy festival. Who would they be, and where would it be
Wow.
placed?
Okay. I want to go. I want to say Jamaica is where I would go.
Okay.
I've actually never been to Jamaica, which is I have family in Jamaica. I've never been, um, but I would. I just want to go there. That's just like a spot I've never.
Fire festival, except it actually works this time.
Except it works. I mean, other than that, as far okay, so Jamaica's. I'm a stick to Jamaica. We're
Okay.
sticking to Jamaica. As far, I mean, God, Marvin Gaye, like I gotta have Marvin and Steve and Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Like those are my top two right there. Kendrick. No, actually, sorry, I take that away. I would have then Biggie and Tupac, and then uh, Aretha Franklin.
I would go to that.
Yeah, those would be my five. I feel like that in Jamaica, like
Yeah.
Biggie, little Biggie versus Tupac on stage. That'd be some that'd be some fire. It
All right.
wouldn't it wouldn't it wouldn't be fire festival, but it would be fire.
To make things even more complicated, you get to cook one dish for all these people backstage. You're like, all right, Aretha, please enjoy my signature dish, which is,
I'm gonna say kimchi fried rice.
ooh, all right.
Oh yeah. I make a mean kimchi fried rice.
Bring the Korean fusion in. All right.
You know what I mean?
You got to come to Koreatown here in LA sometime if you haven't already.
I haven't been enough. Like I need to I'm a Korean food fiend.
How is the Korean food in Nashville? Is there a decent Korean barbecue down there?
There's like one like legit kind of strip mall Korean barbecue
Yeah.
spot, and then there's like your gentrified Korean food spot, which is also delicious, Babo. And that's kind of it.
Man.
That's it. The
Yeah, you
gaming.
need to spend like a solid week just in Koreatown. You'll gain
Yeah,
about 20 pounds, but
I'm
it'll
in.
be worth it.
Oh my God, please sign me
It's like where
up.
my sister lives right now. She literally can probably throw a rock out of her window, and there's like 57 Korean barbecue places. It's
Mm,
just insane.
give me it. Give me that.
And then you got to go to Wi Spa afterwards.
Oh, I've heard about We Spa. This is yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. We Spa Korean barbecue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I'm coming to LA at some point. I'll be out there at some point. Yeah.
All right, let's take it out with the title track, "Love You Anyway," because I feel like you know the energy on there, sharing joy through the darkness, through the hardships that we've gone through. Um, what is the thing that you think brings you the most joy each day? Is it listening to music, creating music? Like, what is the thing that inspired that song?
The thing that inspired that song was, really, it was my personal relationship. It was my, like my nana. She didn't vote, she voted for Trump the first time around. And I, as much as I'm as angry as I am about that, you know, she's, I can't hate her for that. I
Mm-hmm.
have to, like, I gotta, she's got how, who knows how long
Right.
on this earth left. And yeah, like, am I gonna ask, ask her, say, hey, like, I'll take your ballot to the thing and then throw it in the trash? Yeah, I would do that.
Right.
But I also, no, I wouldn't do that. I would respect her, but I have to love her. I have to love her, even though I'm mad at her politics,
Mm-hmm.
and that, and then get to the conversation of, all right, this is why I'm fucked. Like, this is why all this affects me, and blah blah blah. And who knows if she's gonna get it? Who knows? She's 92 years old.
Mm.
Like, at this point,
Well, it's so
like,
complicated.
does
I
it
think when
matter?
you're a black man in America, right, and your own
Yeah,
family is, sort of putting their finger on the scale, saying, actually, we support someone who's openly a white supremacist, right?
yeah,
Now they probably will say like, well, but it's just about taxes or blah blah blah, and that's the thing that's hardest to talk about. But for you, it's like a double complication, you know?
well, my nana is white,
Right?
and but also, and like, it's just, it's complicated in a way of, like, I don't think I'm ever going to change my nana's mind,
No.
and that's okay. It's just got to be okay. And and for, if my nana was 10 years younger, I would probably think differently, and I'd really hound her a lot more,
Yeah.
and give her the shit. But, like, she's 92 and she's done everything. She's lived life. She's loved me as much, and as she could, and she did a great job. And I can't resent her for not understanding that Tucker Carlson is not the news.
Right.
Because she's not thinking, she's not listening to that anymore. She doesn't care about that anymore. She cares about, like, trying to breathe for,
Yeah.
like, the next day, you know?
Well, you have that line, hates a heavy weight to carry. It's like it's almost too heavy to bring into the future. It's like you have to, yeah, let the hope in, put the
Yeah.
lightning in the dark. It's like you have to try to see the hope where maybe there is none at the moment. And sometimes, expressing to family, friends around us, I think, who are, at least right now, on the wrong side of history. I think it's about like saying, this affects me personally, right? You don't have to
Yeah.
talk about the Black Lives Matter protesters or people tearing down Confederate statues, which my own grandma, you know, thought was offensive. Like, why do you care? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, no, no, no. This is something that affects me personally, that you um are not going forward with us in the right direction towards progress. And that it's sad, but it's something that, like, the only way I think eventually families come together is realizing, like, hey, we need to realize that these policies that folks are pushing, right, taking away women's rights, taking away gay rights, taking away Black people's ability to vote, that
Yeah.
is something that isn't just like, oh, a concept, that's like affecting my life, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, man. And Z, we understand those things, and but there's people that like, how do you make, how do you have to, there's some people that you can pull out of their bubble, and then there's some people that they're just they're just it's not worth, politics aren't their thing. They're not aware of the politics, or they think they're either unaware, or they're only aware of everything on the right, and
Right.
trying, it's after you've said everything and tried so hard to show them, send them episodes of the Daily, and and
Michael Barbaro will convince you, Grandma.
right,
He
like
knows.
all the articles, I've sent, and like been like, hey, look, it's right here, it's
uh
highlighted, like I highlighted it for
Fighting the
you
good fight.
here, like you can put that in front of them, but it's, you're still combating their whole philosophical castle that they've built from all of the shit of not, but not just shit, but like real information and whatever on the one side, that the reality that they've built up, you have to like throw your darts of actual real information at that fake castle. And it's, and unless you have time and energy and you know like to really take out like bricks of that castle from that, with that specific person, there's a lot of things that, it's really, it comes down to family. These are the only people you're really willing to take this time with.
Right.
And and if it was my cousin, if it was my younger cousin, it's, then I'm like, yo, let's get in the boxing ring. Let's get
Yeah.
into political boxing ring. But there's also certain people who, like your 90-year-old grandma, who like, you're like, come on, let's get in the boxing ring. Bow, bow, bow. And
She'll
like,
probably
she's
take you
like,
out.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to lit like,
Yeah.
like,
No, but the sentiment "I love you anyway" I think is the most almost radical thing you can say now, because it means that you have to sacrifice your own pride and I think your ego and be like, I'm not going to convince you, and you're not
yep.
going to convince me, and we can still, weather the storm and get through the shit together. Like you said. So that's
Right.
all we can do.
That's it. That's it. That's all we can do. And like,
It's hard to do that.
and for certain people, when the time is right, when to like get into it, to to fight the power, like we have to fight the power for
Yeah.
100%. But also we have to recognize the moments where we can't turn each other into enemies, or else the power, we're not going to be able to fight the power,
Yeah.
because the powers are really the things that are separating us.
I got the power.
I got the
Mm.
power.
Well, thank you for getting on with me, man. Love the new record, and I think the universe will be better off because of it.
Z, thank you for having me, man, and I appreciate you listening to the album, and just so detailedly, and all the beautiful questions, bro.
Thank you,
Thank you.
man. Well, we have some Korean barbecue waiting for you here in LA whenever you're
Oh,
here.
I will listen. I
Hit
will
me up.
be there. And I'll let you know when I'm in the hood. That
Yeah,
I'll
man.
love that. I'd love to kick it, meet some Korean barbecue with you.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Take it easy,
All
Z.
right, bud.